Hey everyone, I have that it's Friday, so I'm really excited to be here with you. This whole month in this new series, we're really talking about some of the questions that really burns inside of many of us, especially during times when we struggle. And one of those questions that comes up is, what's the point? I don't know about you, but I actually try to avoid watching the news on a regular basis. And so typically I find other ways to get news to stay aware of what's happening in current events. And some of those ways might actually be social media, following certain news channels, those kinds of things. But I recognize that I have to watch and pay attention to how much I'm getting in, so sometimes my brain will see a lot of stuff that's happening and it really weighs me down. And there are other times when we might have that same feeling. Sometimes we might have a feeling like, oh, you know what? I just I just went through a difficult situation, so therefore I'm having a really hard time just understanding why this is happening. Do you ever have questions like that too, where you're just like, I don't understand why this is happening? What's the point of all of this? Why do bad things happen? And so that's what we're really wanting to do today is to really dive in deeper on what this looks like. So I'm paying attention to your comments. If you guys have comments on here while I'm live, it'll pop up and I'll be able to answer that. So I'm looking forward to talking and unpacking more about this. So that's what we're talking about this entire month in this series. Even though there's 5 Fridays in this month, we're only going to go live 4 of those Fridays because that last Friday I'll be out of town. But let's talk about this. And it's really leading into identity and purpose. If we don't know why we were created and who we are, when we don't know our identity, we will not know our purpose. And if we don't use something the way it's intended, in many ways, that's considered misuse. You're not using it the way it's supposed to. Now, sometimes things can work out okay. I have, let's see, like a coaster. Okay. So I can find out like what this coaster is. I'm like, oh, okay. And I know its purpose when I know its original design. Now, it can be used in other things like maybe it can hold jewelry for me so I don't lose it. I mean, it doesn't really hold it there really well, but it just rests there so I can find things. So it could be used for that purpose. It could be used for like maybe if I want to eat snacks and use it as a plate, it could do that as well. But its original design, this is a stone coaster, so it's supposed to absorb different kinds of moisture so that you're protecting your furniture. Now, if I really know the design and the purpose, even though I can use it for other things, when I use it for what it's created for, it has greater potential. So it's not super great as a snack plate. It could be used for that, but not super great. But when I use it as a coaster to absorb the water and condensation from my drinks, then it's going to be like, wow, this thing is super amazing. And so if this compares itself to dessert plates, it's going to feel like I'm not good enough. I'm not doing this right. I'm not as good as a paper plate, or the whatever kind of plate you're using. And so, but when it works like a coaster is supposed to work, then it's like, I know my full potential. It's being realized. That's kind of how you and I are. We can maybe define our purpose in different ways, but we're not going to ever really feel the fulfillment until we're walking out our design, what we were designed to be and to do. And so let's talk about this. I want to share a story. In high school, I was running cross country, and I believe it was my junior or senior year. I feel like it was my junior year. Yeah, it was my junior year, and I had an injury. It actually had a soccer injury that affected my cross country running. And so what happened was my kneecap, I took an injury, right, a blow right to the knee, and it popped out like that. And so then I had some pain and some issues and chondromalacia. I had to go see a physical therapist and get some rehab done on my knee to make it stronger. But I even had a cast I had to walk around with. Like I vaguely remember this, so it was kind of crazy. But in this situation, I remember not being able to run at the regional meet for cross country. I qualified, but when it came to running it, the race, I couldn't because I had this injury. And so an alternative runner had to step into my place. And I remember being there that morning and standing on the side while they're about to start the race, thinking, who am I? If I can't do this, then who am I? I got so much of my identity out of being a competitive athlete, of being a long distance runner. And so because I couldn't do soccer, I couldn't do all these other things I love doing, all these different sports and cross country and all these things, I felt like useless because I felt purpose. I'm like, I do this and I do this thing really well. That's who I am. I get accolades for it. Like I get attention for it. I feel connected. I feel like I belong because of this. But I got my identity as an athlete. And there's a danger to doing that because once that was taken away from me, I didn't know who I was. So there is a danger. There's a temptation that we have and a danger in finding our identity in what we do, our activity. So maybe for you, it's not like sports. Maybe it's work. Maybe you get your identity because of what your position is at work. Maybe you get your identity in your role, like as a mom or as a dad. Well, the problem with that is if we find our identity in our activity or in our roles, and those things don't go well, we have pain and suffering and we lose purpose and we become completely hopeless and completely helpless. And that's where a lot of people struggle. Well, if I can't do this or if this isn't going right, then I'm worthless, I'm terrible. And then we have people who have depression, maybe even suicidal thoughts at the very worst. And so what that looks like is we have to really redefine and better understand who we are and our purpose. So if you are in that position where you're like, well, I kind of get some identity out of what my activity or my relationships, then here's what I want to encourage you to do. I want you to take a look at your creator. When I know what the creator had in mind when they designed this, then I can better understand what this is and its purposes. Purposes are found within identity. And the way you know your identity is to speak to your creator. We have a really cool way of doing this. I actually got to do a 1-hour workshop, and so we recorded it, and now we have it available for people to sign up and do it as well. But it's a conversational process to help you understand what God, your creator, says about you. And as you're doing this, you're going to develop a unique and powerful I am statement that reveals your identity. And so if you're someone who like, yes, I want to get more clear on what God says about me. There's an angel of the Lord that spoke to Gideon and he called him a warrior. And Gideon's like, who, me? I'm the least of the least. And so God sees you in your full potential. He doesn't call out all your problems. He calls you into your promises. And so it's really important that we go to the Lord and we find out what he says about our identity. And he's hidden into your personality, your interests, your passions. He's hidden those things, those purposes inside of you. So as we spend time talking with the Lord, we're going to unpack what we're really designed for and who we are. One of the things that Jesus said whenever he was tested by some religious leaders is he said that the greatest of the two commandments were to love God and to love others. And all other commandments fall under those two things. So if we can love God and love others really well, so that's part of our purpose. But we really want to understand more about who we are. So if you want a very practical way of figuring this out, I want to invite you to sign up for this workshop right here. It's pre-recorded, so you can go through it at your own pace. But if you head over to dianabigham.com/heavenly identity, it's right here at the bottom of your screen. But this is going to be really great because I'm going to walk you through what it looks like to have a conversation with the Lord, just to sit there in a reflective moment. And you'll get a downloadable workbook that's going to help you process those things. And as you're doing that, if you follow those steps, by the end of that 1 hour, you're going to have a unique, powerful identity statement, an I am statement of what God, what heaven, what the Lord sees about you. I hope this has been really helpful. Join me next time as we continue this conversation when we have struggles about what's the point, who am I, why do bad things happen. Join me at the same time, same place next week. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.